You know, where does this debate come from around transgender rights? That it's just almost, you know, you're not allowed to even question. Because I've always been someone that says we should be inclusive, and if someone's not hurting you, then you should be as tolerant and accepting as possible of them. That's a basic way forward that I think has served us well. But how has this debate become so vociferous that someone that even dares to raise the question is suddenly accused of denying someone else's right to exist? That if you even say, well, hang on a minute, how will it work in prisons? And are biological men and biological women really equal in all sports or just some? And at what point should such ideas be introduced to children? And who should decide who introduces these ideas to children? Now, I'm not saying that there's an absolute view on any of those. I think the Kiwi way is for people to work together carefully and work through their problems so everyone can basically be happy. But that's not what's happening right now. This debate is just so vociferous that people aren't allowed to have a different opinion. You saw that with the Posey Parker rally, where in the land of Kate Shepherd, you can't have a group of women meet in a public park to discuss women's rights and women's politics. How on earth did that happen? And what seems to have occurred is that we have a tyranny of the minority, where the majority tremor in fear that if they even ask basic questions, they will be ostracised, pilloried, cancelled and doxed to the point that they can't have any kind of role in their own life. It is completely wrong. On that particular issue of transgenderism, I absolutely think we should do our best to accommodate people, but I also think we need a bit of a rebalancing where we say, yes, in every way possible you will be accommodated, but you can't tell people that black is white and white is black. You can't tell people that they're not allowed to ask the question. And there may be some facilities and some sports where actually people want to make a law, and it's allowed under the Human Rights Act, that actually you can't participate or you can't use this changing room or whatever if your birth sex is the opposite of that it's reserved for. I think those are the kinds of debates and changes that New Zealand's going to need on that issue. However, it's not clear that in the current environment people are prepared to allow those kinds of discussions without jumping down each other's throats. I think what we need is to restore the values of New Zealand that got us to where we've been for most of our history, a place where each person has equal citizenship, equal rights and equal dignity to speak freely, to think freely and to be heard, not to be shouted down, cancelled or made to feel bad for having the wrong opinion. Is the Prime Minister aware that both Māori and non-Māori live in cities and in rural areas, and what New Zealanders object to deeply and strongly is the constant profiling of citizens by race by his government?
Mr Speaker, I absolutely reject the statement in that question, which is just plain racism.
Does his statement that, quote, the healthcare system should be treating people equally, is that a statement he stands by? And as Prime Minister, is there anything he can do about race being used to prioritise surgical wait list, give out Prezi cards exclusively to pregnant Māori women, a pharmacy service being accessible only to Māori and Pacifica, a separate Māori health authority, and a medical health line that opens with, quote, press 1 if you are Māori?
I recognise that our health system has delivered inequitable outcomes for Māori and Pacific New Zealanders, and proactive targeting of ensuring that we are creating equal outcomes for different population groups, I think is a positive thing.